Good morning, guys. This is Lisa Joya. I just got out of bed like about 15-20 minutes ago. It's like 5:30 in the morning. Something personal I kind of wanted to share with you guys is the reason why I go to bed with the clothes I'm going to wear the next day. You all know that my son is an epileptic and he has seizures. But every time he has a seizure, it's always around this time of morning. And so I always sleep in the clothes I'm going to wear the next day. Or I wear a shirt that I'm going to wear the next day and I'll wear my bedtime pants. Or I'll wear a bedtime top and wear my jeans to bed. You guys get a chance to sleep in your traditional comfortable, pajamas. I get to not, because I'm always on edge that my son may have a seizure at any moment. And it freaks me out because my child is like my everything. Yeah. So before I get going on anything else, we have something called an emergency pack. I have a backpack with like his clothes, shoes, socks, underwear, blankets, toys, things that comfort him. Because when he has a seizure, sometimes it's severe. Sometimes it's only between like a minute and a half, and that's okay. But if anything lasts over 2 minutes, then I gotta call the emergency room. And the emergency room has been called 3 times. He's had 4 seizures, but the last one wasn't as bad. But I was prepared and ready to go. So, no worse thing than have your child sick in any way for a parent. I'm a single parent, and I'm a mom and dad. So I consider myself a MAD. M-A-D, mom and dad. And I admit I get scared when my son has seizures. I really do. Because to see your child convulsing, sounding like they're choking on their own saliva, potentially could die, could hurt themselves, could injure someone else in the process and not really realize it. So I went and talked with my son. I'll do another interview with him as a follow-up to this. We'll do it right after school today. But how he feels when he has a seizure. He doesn't realize he's having a seizure because most of the time he has a seizure, it's because he's sleeping or he's resting. So the poor boy is constantly paranoid that he's not going to that he's going to have a seizure, so he can't sleep. So he's on, not only is he on his meds for his anti-seizure, his levetiracetam, and then he's also got his vitamin B6 in the morning, and then he's got to take his regular vitamins in the morning. But in order to help him at night, he's got to take 1.5 times the normal dosage of the levetiracetam, which is a generic version of Keppra, and then he's got to take melatonin, which to help him sleep. And at first it worked beautifully, At first it was like he was able to go memes and but lately he hasn't been able to sleep well. And there's times where he still makes sounds in his sleep. And I sleep in the same room and I don't sleep. You guys think I'm a sound sleeper, but I sleep right next to my son, and when I'm right next to my son, I am like Mother Hawk looking over her nest, just to say the least. Anyways, I'm in the bathroom because it's like the only private place I can find right now that's not too dark. So that's the reason why I go to bed with my clothes I'm going to wear the next day. So if you ever see me in videos in the future and it's like early in the morning, like, why is she wearing her jeans and and that bedtime top, or was she wearing that her top she's going to wear the next day and she's wearing some sweatpants? Or why is she, you know, always dressed like she's ready to go? Well, like I said, I have a pack. I have to be ready at any moment because he could drop and have a seizure, and I have to be prepared to help him out. Another thing about me is that I used to be CPR certified, and when I was in high school, I dealt with kids who had seizures and epilepsy, of course, epilepsy, narcolepsy, various retardations, mental diseases, kids who had car accidents, kids with polio, kids in wheelchairs, and I learned how to maintain, how to handle people like that. And I have a big heart for them. And now I have a child who has epilepsy. How ironic is that? But I'm not complaining because I have the most amazing child on the planet, so hands down on that one. All you other parents could probably fight with me on that one, that your kid's better than mine, but I'm going to win. Mine's better than yours. Yeah, I'm very highly protective of my child and very protective over every little aspect. People, you think I'm over obsessive, but you have to remember when my husband died 5 years ago, I had to learn how to be a mom and a dad, a friend, and know when to be all those and a mixture of them in between, and have that perfect balance. And when my son had his first seizure, I was scared out of my mind. Believe me, my adrenaline was pumping. And no matter how many times my son has had seizures, I always get scared. You're always going to get scared, especially when it comes to your kids. So if you have kids who have epilepsy, or if your kids have a disorder of some sort, and you're always on edge because you don't know when they're going to have another episode. In my house, we call seizures brain hiccups. That's what they're called. Brain hiccups. And I sometimes I see my son spacing off, and that's a sign of a pre-seizure. In a certain way, his eyes twitch a little, and then his hands, he starts, you know, playing with his hands uncontrollably. So I have to say, are you about to have a brain hiccup? He's like, oh, and he snaps out of it. So it also goes in with my training, and I'm actually thinking about going back and becoming CPR certified again. So so if any of you need saving from me, I'd probably be the one, you know, doing the CPR on the breast and saving your life. It's not the first time I've had to do CPR on my own son. Yeah, when my son was a baby, he actually died. Yeah. So, and then I was the one that did CPR on him and brought him to life. Yeah. Yeah. So that's another reason why I'm protective of my son. That's another reason why I sleep in my clothes. Because I feel like I'm always at war with this epilepsy. So, this is an emotional morning. But when it comes to your kids, you humble yourself for them. You die for them every day. You sacrifice willingly because you love them. I love my son very much. So, again, if you see me in my clothes, like partially dressed for the day, because I have to be ready to get my clothes on when he has a seizure that's beyond a certain time limit, beyond 2 minutes. because the ambulance gets here in like 5 minutes, and you gotta be ready to go, you know. So that's why I have a backpack full, a hairbrush, arm deodorant, perfume, face wipes, coffee, and like bottled water, some snacks, his clothes, and some things that comfort him. Sorry, I'm still tearing up from that last thing, because I've actually saved my son 3 times with CPR. He's actually died on me 3 times. Every time my son has a seizure, it reminds me when he died on me. And I don't wish this on my worst enemy, for you to lose your child. I don't care who you are. I don't, to see your lifeless child, not even alive, the face is white. It's like how my son gets when he has a seizure. It's scary as hell. You can be a doctor, and you could be an EMT, and it could be your own child, and you'll still be scared. I mean, when it's someone else, you get down to business and you save their life. I've done that too. But when it's your own child, yeah, I don't wish this on my worst enemy. This is a very emotional morning. Of course, I didn't sleep too good because my son was making those weird sounds again. And of course, it makes me on edge. You know what I mean? Because people who have seizures, especially my son, they produce a lot of saliva, and they could choke and drown in their own saliva while they're sleeping. So I'm always on edge to listen to him as he's sleeping, because I don't sleep well. I really don't. I used to take naps during the day when he was at school, but it does no good when you're in business for yourself to sleep throughout the day, when that's your primary time to work. So, yeah. So that is the reason why I sleep with my clothes partially on, because I have to be ready to go. And like I said, every time he has a seizure, it reminds me of the 3 times that he's died on me, and I've had to revive my son. It's very scary. Like I said, I don't wish this on my worst enemy. I don't care who the hell you are. I don't care how bad you've hurt me. I don't wish your badness on your children. I just wish badness on you. You know what I mean? Because the kids don't deserve it. You know what I mean? They're not in control of your actions, of your behavior. But yeah, that is why. I don't know if you can see this. I'll try to go further back. Hold on. If you guys can see. I'm in my pajamas. At least, I don't know if you can see this. We'll see if you can actually see this. Here, you'll pull them up. Hold on. My pajamas. My pajama pants. I have to be prepared and on the go. I know, I did an Urkel on you. So if you have a child that has epilepsy, you'll understand what I mean. I sleep in the same room with my child, so I really don't sleep. But I would rather be there in the same room, sleeping on the floor while my son has a bed, than have a dead child any day. I sacrifice a lot more than you guys know. But but that comes in the territory of being a parent, though. A lot of parents don't sacrifice themselves for their children. They really don't. It's really sad. The parents' needs are well more grand and greater than the kids. I'm glad I don't have my own room. I'm glad I share a room with my kid, because every time my son has had a seizure, he was practically almost drowning in his own saliva and convulsing. And sounding like he was choking, like really bad. And then, because a lot of parents don't give a shit about their kids, and they let them have, whatever that they want, and their kids have a seizure and drown, they wake up to their kids dead. I don't want that to happen to me. I want my kid to live a lot longer than me, that's for sure. That's one of my worst nightmares, to be honest. To have my own child die before me. That happened to my late husband's father, of course. Ron was a junior. and I don't want my son to suffer the same fate and die early before me. Believe me, I would go 0 to bitch so fast. Yeah, to be honest with you guys, without my son, I would be a bitch. Yeah. Without my son, I wouldn't give a shit about none of you. Nothing. Nothing at all. I'm like an evil bitch without my son. My son softens me. He gets me to think about other things. He cheers me up. He's cool. He's sweet. He reminds me of my old self before I had to grow up. And speaking about growing up, my son, because of his brain injury and his seizures, he's got over 50% of his brain is dead. I'm not joking. It's a miracle he's talking. So every time I see him, I smile. Because he has my fight nature to fight. He has my nature to, my old nature when I was a kid, to be sweet and kind and thoughtful and loving and stuff like that. He reminds me of my old self, you know, the good aspects of myself. Then he reminds me of his father, his creativeness. Well, hey, he's got that from me too. But see, the thing is, with the epilepsy, it makes him slow, especially with the brain death in his brain. He's not stupid by no means. He can outbuild you on any Legos without looking at the schematics any day. I bet my son could be faster than you. Yeah, my son is very smart, though he's got a lot of issues going on with him, and so I'm going to conclude with something. I'm glad I wear my normal clothes to bed. I'm glad I am ready to go when my son has a seizure. I am glad that I sacrifice. I'm happy to do it for my son. And any parent would, real parent would. Any real parent. And for you single dads out there who are being single and, you know, by yourselves, I commend you too. Because you have to switch your mental thinking to think like a mother. And that's totally opposite than what you're used to. I had to be a dad. I had to be the disciplinarian. Yeah. I often ask my son, do you want the father in me to come out? And he goes, no. Because I'm worse than his dad was at disciplining. I'll take your ass outside with a bow staff and make you do lunges holding the bow staff above your head 50 times on each leg if you want to even remotely talk back to me. You have the energy to talk back to me, you have the energy to do that. So you single fathers, you have to be a little bit more softer around the edges than you're used to. So it kind of takes away at your manhood or your dadhood. But then there's also that time when you do that, you actually reach to the heart of your child and you actually teach them something. And it penetrates in. And that's the reward. Yeah. That's the reward I get from my son. I get that reward. So you single parents, if you have kids who are sick or ill or with a cold, you know what it's like. You stay up with those kids. You sleep right next to their door. I used to do that with my son when he was sick. When we had my old house and my husband was alive, my son would be sick. And I would sleep on the floor in his room and doctor him for the whole entire time. I would not even leave his side. My late husband would be pissed off because he'd want to get intimate with me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't remotely mentally go there until my baby's better. You know, so you single parents, mother and fathers, you understand. You will understand. And if you mothers and single mothers and single fathers out there have a child with a disability or anything like that, then and you do the same thing I do, don't forget to comment on it, if you know, or if you've done something similar than what I do with my son, with your kids. Even if you're not single parent, you know, because I was married. I know what it's like. Yeah. So don't make fun of me if you see me in half my clothes on, or if you see me going to bed somehow, or waking up with my clothes on. With my clothes on, as in my normal daytime clothes, my professional clothes, the only thing I have to do is just brush my hair and I'm off. I'm ready to go in 5 minutes. Hell, I even put arm deodorant and perfume on the night before, just in case he has a seizure. So don't make fun of me. Alright, this is Lisa Joya signing off.